Time for another deep dive into calisthenics circuit theory. Last time we discussed the difference between high reps and low reps and the value of speed and non-stop movement over extended rest pause sets. Today I'd like to go over a few of my favorite intensity techniques and discuss how they can be used to push a circuit in one direction or the other, towards either muscle fatigue or cardio, and how those techniques might be useful during different phases of your training, like when you're on a bulk versus when you're lean. I will do my best to make sure everything is explained well enough in this video so it's accessible even if you're completely new to this style of circuit training. But if at any point things aren't making sense, I do recommend checking out the video I made called A Deep Dive into Calisthenics Circuit Training, because I go into a lot more detail on the basics in that one. I'll have it linked in the description. First, a quick refresher. Calisthenics circuits, as I like to do them, are a collection of exercises. 4 or 5 seems to work best for balance, each focused on a different upper body movement pattern: vertical push and pull, horizontal push and pull, and abs, done for a set number of reps, completed as quickly as possible while maintaining proper form, with the goal of increasing speed every workout. 200 reps in 20 minutes workout 1, those same 200 reps in 19 minutes 50 seconds in workout 2, and so on. A circuit like this is a balancing act between muscle fatigue and cardio. The goal is achieving complete balance between the two, so you build muscle and endurance at the same time in equal parts. How far can you push a muscle without needing to slow down or rest? What's the exact perfect difficulty level for each exercise that allows you to get close to failure in the muscles while maintaining a steady pace and challenging your endurance? Without proper planning, one thing will overpower the other. If the exercises you choose are too easy or focus on the wrong things, you'll end up too winded to push your muscles near failure. Too difficult, and you'll end up moving too slowly, and you won't get the same cardio benefits. There are also external factors that can change how you need to approach things. I've been bulking for a couple months now, and now that I have more body fat, as well as more lower body muscle with my heavy focus on squats, endurance has become the hardest thing to manage. Whereas when I was shredded, my muscles would always wear out at least a little bit before I'd reach my cardio limit. Because of this, when I was super lean, I'd always try to use the easiest exercises available, with the idea that more reps means more movement and a greater cardio challenge. Now that I'm a bit heavier, focusing on slightly more challenging variations so I don't need to do quite as many total reps has been the way to achieve balance. I've also found that heat can play a big role in this too. If you go from training in a comfortable environment to a hot and humid room in the middle of summer, cardio becomes much more of a factor. The same is true in reverse when moving from the heat to the cold. All of that said, today I want to go over a few methods I like for pushing a circuit in either direction, to make sure your muscles always stay near failure and to make sure your endurance is always right at its limit. First, let's talk about making a circuit more challenging on the cardiovascular system. Remember, the goal is balance, so these changes will be subtle. We could easily make a circuit all about cardio by adding a lot of lower body work or things like jumps, but this is often too much when the goal is balance. We still want to maximize those muscle and strength gains too. The first and easiest way to do this is to lower the difficulty of your most difficult exercise. Let's say you have a circuit made up of pull-ups, dips, ab wheel rollouts, and decline pike push-ups. If decline pikes are your hardest exercise, switch to basic pike push-ups on the ground and you'll be able to pick up the pace, increasing the cardio demand. If pull-ups are too difficult, you could switch to chin over bar rather than chest to bar. You could give yourself some assistance on the concentric part of the lift by using a band or pushing off the ground slightly with your feet. If you have the setup for it, you can do feet elevated pull-ups. I used to do these a lot back when I was traveling and only had access to squat stands and a barbell. And in this circuit, because you aren't already doing a horizontal pull, you could also just do inverted rows rather than pull-ups. Decreasing the difficulty of the hardest exercise means you can continue moving through the circuit at a faster pace, meaning more of an endurance challenge. Another method I like is using 2 different rep schemes in the same circuit. In that example, pull-ups, dips, ab rollout, and decline pike push-ups, maybe you find the pull-ups and the decline pike push-ups are the most challenging exercises and slow you down. Well, rather than doing something like a basic 10 down for each exercise, 10, 9, 8, 7, down to 1, you might try something like 10, 8, 6, 4, 2 paired with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, essentially doing half the number of reps for the more challenging movements. In this example, the circuit would be 5 pull-ups, 10 dips, 10 ab wheel, 5 decline pike push-ups, 4 pull-ups, 8 dips, 8 ab wheel, 4 decline pike push-ups, continuing on down the ladder. Once you reach the end, you could climb back up, you could start over and repeat the whole thing for rounds, or do a combination of both. There are plenty of options, and this way the difficulty level of each set is more balanced, which again lets you move faster and increases the cardio demand. Another thing you can do is create combo exercises. This was a favorite technique of mine for challenging my endurance back when I was still only 142 pounds. Before getting to the actual technique, here's a quick summary of why it works. The reason I typically don't recommend adding lower body exercises to these circuits is because they often leave you way too out of breath for you to properly challenge your muscles. This has to do with blood flow. There's a concept known as PHA, peripheral heart action, that says if you work muscles that are far away from each other, the heart will need to work harder to pump extra blood across a larger area. While the legs are often too far away from the muscles of the upper body in a circuit where balance is the goal, the abs seem to be just far enough. Rather than just one dedicated ab exercise in a circuit, using that setup before, that would be the ab wheel, you can instead also add additional ab movements to the other exercises, so your body never gets a break from pumping blood through that larger area. My favorite way to do this is, rather than pull-ups, dips, ab wheel rollouts, and decline pike push-ups, you'll do pull-ups with a knee raise at the top, dips with a leg raise at the top, ab wheel, and decline pike push-ups. These simple additions increase the cardio demand significantly. You can experiment with using both or just one until you find that perfect balance. Those two are my favorite, but you can find ways to do this with any exercise. You could turn any horizontal push-up variation into a push-up mountain climber hybrid. Inverted rows could be one full rep followed by a single leg raise for each leg. There's lots of room for creativity. And last but not least for this section, if your cardio is really on another level, you can experiment with adding an explosive movement between each exercise. Burpees are great for this. All you have to do is, after every round of every exercise, do a single burpee and move on. If your endurance is really next level, you could even add multiple burpees. That might look something like this: 10 pull-ups, 2 burpees, 10 dips, 2 burpees, 10 ab wheel, 2 burpees, 10 decline pike push-ups, 2 burpees, 9 pull-ups, 2 burpees, and so on. The exercise doesn't need to be burpees. Anything explosive that involves the legs a bit will get the job done. Personally, I haven't had much success using this in a balanced circuit myself. It always ends up being way too much about the cardio for me, but I know there are those of you out there with super elite conditioning, and for you, this might be a good option. Now let's move on to the opposite problem. What can you do to increase the stress placed on the muscles so muscle fatigue can catch up to the cardio demand? The first and easiest method is to increase the range of motion of your exercises. Rather than chin over bar pull-ups, go for chest to bar. Rather than pike push-ups with your hands on the ground, elevate your hands. If you have parallettes, you can also experiment with different grips. I typically find a neutral grip is more challenging than a pronated grip, for example. In addition to increasing the range of motion, with push-up variations, you can also elevate your feet. Decline pike push-ups or decline diamond push-ups, for example, are usually much more difficult than the feet on the ground versions. Another simple trick you can do is change the exercise order. Rather than pull-ups, dips, ab wheel, decline pike push-ups, pull, press, pull/abs combo, press, you might try pull-ups, ab wheel, dips, decline pike push-ups, pull/ab combo, press, press. By doing this, your muscles will have less time to rest between similar movements, increasing the demand placed on those muscles. Conversely, you'll also have more rest between when you do a push or pull and when you do it again, which means you won't be so worn out that you can't keep going at a steady pace. From the outside, it might seem like this would balance things out and wouldn't make a difference, but in reality, it does shift a circuit more in the direction of muscle fatigue. You can also combine the last two ideas together. Pull-ups, dips, ab wheel rollouts, and pike push-ups might become sternum pull-ups, increased range of motion, ab wheel rollouts, changing exercise order, dips, decline deficit pike push-ups on parallettes, increased range of motion, and feet elevated. This is getting into somewhat unnecessary territory, though it is fun in my opinion, just for the sake of mixing things up. But if combining the last two ideas together is too difficult, but you like the concept, you can bridge the gap by also using the alternating rep scheme idea I mentioned earlier too. Rather than a basic 10 down for each of the 4 movements, you might use that 10-8-6-4-2 paired with 5-4-3-2-1 setup. The circuit would then become 5 sternum pull-ups, 10 ab wheel rollouts, 10 dips, 5 decline pike push-ups on parallettes, 4 sternum pull-ups, 8 rollouts, 8 dips, 4 decline pikes, and so on. This is a great way to sneak in some work with exercises that are at a much higher difficulty level than the rest. In my experience, any more than 2 higher difficulty exercises using the lower rep scheme ends up being too easy on the cardio side of things. You wouldn't want to do something like 5 sternum pull-ups, 10 ab wheel rollouts, 5 tuck planche push-ups on dip bars, 5 decline pike push-ups on parallettes, for example, because that would usually mean there just aren't enough total reps to challenge your endurance. But during certain phases of your training, that might potentially be a good option. Another thing you might consider is biasing a circuit towards one movement pattern over another. The circuit will be less balanced muscle-wise, but it can be a great way to bring up a lagging area. I noticed, for example, I needed to bring up my chest, shoulders, and triceps, not surprising with all the back work, so I started doing a circuit that was pull-ups, Tyson push-ups, bent knee pike push-ups, and decline diamond push-ups. In this circuit, the pull-ups are really there to act as rest for the pressing muscles and to make sure I never stop moving. Also, because each pressing exercise is easier than the last, you can still keep up a steady pace and keep the cardio demand high. The pressing muscles basically work through a type of mechanical drop set. Tysons have the potential to be the most difficult because they're an explosive movement. The bent knee pikes are easier than that, and the decline diamonds are easier than that, for me at least. If you want to use this biased approach, another thing you can do is drop the number of exercises in a circuit down to 3 rather than 4 or 5. By doing so, you'll reduce the rest time between when you do an exercise and when you return to it, meaning more stress on the muscles. A circuit I like for that is pull-ups, decline pike push-ups on parallettes, and dips. Combining many of these things together, a circuit I've been doing a lot is chest to bar pull-ups for 10-6-4, decline deficit pike push-ups on parallettes for 5-3-2, followed by diamond push-ups for 10-6-4. That's 10 pull-ups, 5 pike push-ups, 10 diamonds, 6 pull-ups, 3 pike push-ups, 6 diamonds, 4 pull-ups, 2 pike push-ups, 4 diamonds, done for rounds. Just a quick reminder, the main goal is maintaining balance between cardio and muscle fatigue, and in many cases, the last few examples I gave will make the cardio part too easy, but if you're bulked up or just getting started with circuit training, or if it's really hot in your gym, these can be good options. The next idea is easy to get wrong, and you'll need a lot of self-awareness to consistently pull it off, but because you're stronger on the eccentric part of a rep, you can increase the difficulty of the negatives. My all-time favorite way to do this is with the ab wheel. Do the rollout part of the movement standing on your feet, let your knees drop to the ground, then do the rolling back up part on your knees, and repeat. With pull-ups, you can move yourself further away from the bar on the way down. You can also do this with pike or basic push-ups. With pikes, move your head way out in front of your hands on the way down, and press back up from a normal position. With basic push-ups, you can lean forward on the way down, doing a pseudo planche push-up negative before pressing back up from a standard push-up position. With dips, you can shift your weight forward and do a type of tuck planche negative on the way down and a regular dip on the way up. This method can be tough to pull off while accurately gauging progress. It can be tough to know if you're actually getting faster every workout or if you're just making the negatives progressively easier over time, but if you're strict and have a lot of self-awareness, you can probably pull it off. The final method I want to talk about is a personal favorite of mine, increasing the length of each individual rep as a way to trick yourself into doing more work while increasing the demand placed on the muscles. Rather than a basic pull-up, each rep might be made up of 1.5 reps. You pull to the top, go back down halfway, go to the top again, then go all the way back down to the starting position. That would be 1 rep. If that's too easy, you can add multiple half reps. A favorite circuit of mine has been what I call a 3-pump circuit. Every rep is made up of 1 full rep and 2 additional half reps. 3-pump because you complete the most challenging part of the exercise 3 times. You could choose to do this with every exercise. For example, pull up 3 pumps, dip 3 pumps, ab wheel rollout 3 pumps, decline pike push up 3 pumps. You could also just add pumps to the 2 easiest exercises in the circuit. An example of that might be pull ups, dips 3 pumps, ab wheel 3 pumps, decline pike push-ups, and so on. I specialized in pull-ups for a long time, and I often find them easier than everything else on a circuit. For that reason, a crazy thing I've been doing to increase the difficulty is matching the number of half reps or pumps with however many reps I'm doing in a set. If I have to do 5 reps, for example, rep 1 would be a 5-pump rep, 2 would be a 4-pump, 3 a 3-pump, 4 a 2-pump, and the last rep would just be a basic pull-up. This one is really tough. You might try that with whichever exercise you find easiest in a circuit. Another thing using that same concept, you can also add partials at different points in the movement. You don't need to stick completely to the halfway mark. I've been experimenting with what I call 4s. For pull-ups, that would be a pull to the top of the rep, down to 3/4, back to the top, down to the halfway mark, back to the top again, down to the 1/4 mark, back to the top, then down to the bottom. That's 1 rep. I've also been using this with dips, though with dips I prefer doing the partial reps in the bottom position rather than the top like with pull-ups. You can apply this idea to any exercise. Combining this concept with many others, pull-up 4s, decline deficit pike push-ups on parallettes and mats, then dip 4s. Because each exercise is at a high difficulty level, and because each rep is really made up of many reps, I've been keeping the reps per set low to make sure I maintain a steady pace and to keep balance between muscle and cardio. For this one, I like a 3-2-1-2 setup done for rounds. I'll admit this one can be a bit easy on the cardio side of things, but it's a great example for showing how far you can take this stuff if you like experimenting. And there you have my favorite circuit intensity techniques. If you like the idea of calisthenics circuit training, consider checking out my book Sandbag Hypertrophy over on Amazon. It pairs calisthenics circuits with heavy sandbag lifting to create an all-around athlete with relentless strength and lots of muscle to go along with it. Link in the description. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.